Hello there, and happy Friday. I've decided to share my Matt Fraser online group reading where we got chosen. We bought tickets, or I bought a ticket on April 23rd, for April 23rd, 2022, which is my mom's birthday. Because every year, ever since my mom has dropped her body, we actually go and we do something that day to celebrate her, to honor her. Make her a cake, make dinner, her favorite dinner, remember her. So this was going to be like the fun thing that we were doing that day. Amber came from Turlock, and we all got ready for this. It was I was so nervous. But in the morning before the show began, I decided to write to my mother in my journal, and I wanted to read it to you. So I wrote, "Happy birthday, Ma. I am sitting here with Oliver, baby boy, thinking of you. Are you with Crystal? Are you with your mom? I feel you with us. I am so worried about my daughter. I'm so worried about Bruce. I am overly cautious, and they are making their own mistakes, as it should be. I've been so exhausted since this past weekend. What a lovely gift to sit with my Auntie Pam, to see her, and to also be vulnerable and share experiences with her. I feel pure in some ways when I can be in the present moment. Today we have an online group meeting with Matt Fraser on this day, and I really couldn't not buy a ticket because, it's your birthday, April 23rd. Do you have a message for us? Because my thick skull can't decipher from the many incredible happenings. I mean, a ladybug lands on Taylor, like at a certain moment. A hawk calls as he flies above us. A butterfly appears before Pam arrives, and she's wearing the same exact colors as the butterfly. Remember the brown milkshake? One time I ordered a brown milkshake. We were with Pam going through the drive-through at Jack in the Box, and Pam was like, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "Well, I'd like a brown milkshake, please, like chocolate." And so she actually ordered a brown milkshake through the to the person taking the order, and we all got a kick out of it. No, I wasn't high. I was just a little kid. It was hella fun. So I'm asking my mom now, was I or am I really a terrible person? Because oftentimes she would tell me I was, and I was never sure if she was kidding or what she meant by that, So I hate to be down on myself because I feel so grateful that you are my mama. I thank God for you because I am here to experience life. I am not here to cause harm. But the truth is harm is done, and at times unbeknownst to the person causing it. We can look at other lives and see it clearly how we are all hurt each other, but it's rare to fully grasp how much we've harmed our family. Instead, we blame. I blame Bruce for anything that isn't me in Amber and Taylor. I see a pattern, and I think I always have. Today is your birthday, and we would love a message, even if it's just, I see you, I hear you, I'm with you, and I love you. Happy birthday, Mama. We love you and miss you so much. So then, we got ready to be on the show, had the computer all set up in Amber's room. We go in, we are getting ready, for it. We're queuing it up. There's sign language. The ASL expert is on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming, it's happening. So I start to immediately get so anxious. I was shaking. My palms were literally sweating, like dripping sweat. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out right now. And I was like, oh, well, maybe if I use the foot massager, I'll feel better. And that didn't really work. I was like shivering even. So I tried to bring Oliver and the cats in the room, but they wouldn't stay in the room, and I thought that was weird as well. So I was grabbing Oliver, and I was holding him, and he was just shaking as much as I was. He was probably feeling the energy of me. So I went to the bathroom several times. I splashed my face with water. I did anything I could to try to get unnervous, but I was nervous as heck. And so we're sitting there finally, I'm just going to sit there, dig my heels in and see what happens. Because I don't know if I was nervous about being called. I was nervous about not being called. I was nervous about a lot of different things. But I kind of expected that we would be called. I don't know, because it's my mom's birthday. Why not? Why wouldn't she come through, right? So finally, so we're watching, and then Matt Fraser talks to a family right before us, right before we know we're going to even be on. So he's talking to a family, and he's like, well, I'm seeing hawks. And I was like, hawks? I said, you guys, that's my mom. Of course, that's her. And all of a sudden, as soon as I started like saying something, all the cats came in. All of a sudden, they wanted to be in. Nini was getting up into the camera lens, or the face of the camera. She was going into that face. It was really weird. They all wanted to be in there all of a sudden, right? And I lit a candle. I was like, whoa, this something's happening right here. I don't know what it is, but who knows? Let's see what's going to happen, right? So as soon as that happened, the prompt comes up. So all these things happen, then the prompt comes up. Matt Fraser wants to access your microphone. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And so we say yes. And, I could barely hear, and I was like trying to hear like this. And I was like, oh man, I'm so close to the freaking camera. This will not get picked, of course. So I was like nervous as heck, listening to what he was saying. And I was just like, whoa. So a little bit back, after I wrote the note to my mother, I have a four shelf bookshelf. And one of the shelves has my mother's ashes on it. And then there's pictures of our loved ones, her mom, and then some trinkets of like my grandma's on there. And I also put a picture of baby Sal, little Sal. And I looked at him right away, and I said, hey, do you have a message for us, right? And, now I'm realizing, because I don't think I've read what I wrote to my mom until today. Because when I saw blame, I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so everything kind of like fell into place. This was the message that I was supposed to get, all right? So finally, Matt Fraser's saying hi to us and stuff, and I'm nervous AF, and he's like, well, there's a little boy here. I have a soul coming through who is a little boy. Is there anyone that is a little boy that passed away? And I said, well, yeah, my cousin, baby Sal. And so he comes through, and he starts saying immediately, there was no one to blame for my death. I was going to die no matter what anyone did. No one could have had a preconceived notion about it and done anything about it, even though, because the thing is, my mom, we were driving past their house well before little Sal was ill. He got like a congestion. We thought he had croup. Everyone thought he had croup. So this is way before he got sick. And my mom and my grandma and I are driving in the car, and my mom looks at us and says, hey, because we're right by Pam's house, don't be surprised if one of Pam's kids dies. And I was like, what the hell? I was immediately, my stomach was like in pain. I was 12 years old at the time. So my stomach was in pain. I was sick to my stomach, and I was just like, Mom, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And, as a 12-year-old, you're all like, what the fuck? What do you do? Do you go up to somebody and say, hey, guess what? I think that your one of your kids is going to die. But which one? I got two. So which one? And what's up? I don't know. I don't know if that would have helped. I always felt that it would have helped. But baby Sal came through to say, no one to blame. And you get it from my letter to her before. I was blaming people. So this coming through was my mirror to show me that I don't need to do that, and I can't do that. I'm not in control of anything. So he said that, and he said he actually had a heart defect, which I had no idea about, because I was only 12, and I was shocked when he passed. So I was more or less very stunned and in deep state of grief, where I couldn't fathom it. I can't. Who fathoms that shit? So he talked also about a framed poem, and I had written a poem to Pam, but this was several years later, and it was kind of like about the rifts of the family, like how we're not together, we're not close to each other anymore. Of course, since baby Sal had passed, I feel like there was a big rift in our family, and it kind of like everybody was just in their grief, falling apart even. And I always felt like when baby Sal was born, Crystal and I were the only ones, the only cousins, and then all of a sudden baby Sal comes along, and I'm like, oh cool, now there's another cousin to share this time with. And he was very shy, very cute, very sweet, funny. He was a lot of cool things, you could tell he was going to be a real cool kid as he grew up. But after he passed, it was very difficult for me to get close to my other cousins. So I pretty much stayed real close to Crystal. And it was very hard for me to open myself up to be close to anyone else, as it was something that Crystal and I kind of bonded in throughout that whole thing. We're going to the viewing, and we're seeing this little tiny baby boy that was so full of life. All of a sudden, he's passed in this little teeny tiny coffin that I couldn't even believe would be made, So he talked about a poem, and I'm thinking that that's the poem that he's talking about. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm kind of like revisiting this while I'm talking to you. So he said that we all put notes in his coffin, and he said tiny coffin, and I thought that was interesting that he said tiny coffin, because that was how I was picturing his coffin. And I remember making notes or writing notes with Crystal, and with and drawing pictures and putting them into his coffin, and how that was it was like a therapeutic thing. We were kind of like just drawing and not really even talking at the time. It was almost the same way we communicate now, which is kind of through telepathy. We kind of like hear each other's like little thought and stuff, and we're kind of there for each other. Not kind of, we are. I need to stop saying kind of, because this is the true stuff. So, and he also talked about being taken to the hospital and then sent home and taken to the hospital, and then he died at home, and he said that. And so, of course, I remember the trauma and the blame. It took everyone over, to be honest with you. Everybody was blaming everybody. And that was sad. That was a sad time. What else was I going to say here? I wanted to get to where my mom had said something. And this kind of like leads into another story about, this was me being 12, okay? So, imagine this, I'm 12, I'm starting my period, I find out from my mom that she's psychically knowing that I'm going to lose a cousin. Little did she know, or did she probably think at that time, but I lost both cousins. I lost Crystal and I lost baby Sal, or we lost them both. So, so I was going through I was just starting my period, and I remember I told my mom, please do not tell anyone. Because I was so embarrassed. I don't know why. So I was so embarrassed, and she was downstairs, and she's told Lori Muncie, she goes, Erica started her period. And I heard her, and I flew down the stairs. I don't think my feet touched the stairs. I ran up to her. I flew at her. I jumped on her. I didn't hurt her. She was mostly like, what the heck, laughing. But I did knock over some stuff behind her. It didn't break, thankfully, but a shelf kind of got toppled over. So I was pretty pissed. And so what's funny is I didn't even think anything of that was my something that I was going through with my period, because I didn't, once again, no skills, no real education on that kind of stuff. It's like you start your period, oh, you're gonna just bleed for 7 days, 5 days, you need a rag, you need this, you need that. What? Okay, but what about the emotional part? I didn't know about that part. So I was usually so mild-mannered, and then I put a shock out to myself and to Lori and to my mother. I finally snapped, it felt like. And so I saw the movie called Turning Red, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally my mom and me during that time. So here I am, half a century old, and I'm learning just now about periods and about what happens and why that happened. It would have been so, I guess I was just going with the flow. Let's just put it this way. You're going with the flow of the moon and the stars and all that stuff, so you're just going with it. So next, so then my mom came through, okay, and I just knew she was going to, because Matt Fraser was talking to the other family about seeing the hawk, and that's where I was like, whoa, and the cats all got around me. So this is basically all talking about that. And his gifts work in the same kind of way that I feel like my gift works when I go to the Akashic Records. I'm seeing pictures of things. I'm not hearing the voice of Crystal. I'm not hearing any voices, but I'm telepathically getting the information. So intellectual downloads once again. So that's my thing here. I get an intellectual download, so I'll get a view of that. So I don't know if I said this, but the family was like, no, it's cardinals that we see. It's not hawks, it's cardinals. And I was like, oh God, that's my mom. So that's when the prompt came up, of course, and she comes through and she goes, what'd she say? She's like, may I have a turn? And she was just talking about, okay, so she goes, excuse me, may I have a turn to speak? And Matt said, she is showing me a hard life and many struggles, and how the illness took over many organs. It's so true. She mentioned my writings about her and how I'd come over to her house and make her food and made sure to get all of her recipes down. She wanted to thank me for the beautiful life that we had. I'm going to try to get through this. She also mentioned that we separated for a while. And, we didn't live together for a while. And how she felt when we moved to Atwater, from Atwater to Merced. She was really upset when we did that. It was almost as if we moved 3,000 miles away from her. So she thanked me for spending so much time with her. And she said that my world stopped for her, and it's true, so many ways. Right after she passed, after she dropped her body, the pandemic happened, and everything was shut down. And so I had to be on my own on this. And, you have to even though you do have your family around still, you still have to be on your own. And when you lose your mom, that's when you need her the most. So, and she, and the truth is we were very close, and so close that I barely knew myself until after she ascended. And she said that she thanked me for making her look so beautiful. And she talked about her hair. And after she passed, I started drawing. pictures of her and, you know, what I was imagining her soul to look like in the other side. And I'd always draw her hair so real beautiful, and her hair was always a big part of her life because people loved it. They always were wanting to touch it, and she did have beautiful hair, thick, gorgeous hair. So she said she worried about me night driving and vision problems, and I thought that was hilarious because, you know, the thing about my mom is when we would drive together somewhere, I was her clown. I would love to always make her laugh or get shocked or something, you know. I don't know why I would do the things that I do to my mom, but I would be driving down Santa Fe, and I'd get tired all of a sudden. It was a long time ago. I was more tired then than I am now. So I'd be driving and I'd be like, Mom, look. And I'd close my eyes and be driving. She'd be like, ah, Erica. You know, she would laugh. I would laugh too. But I mean, I would not recommend such a thing. And so she also said, which I thought was interesting, that she didn't think she would die. But she said that I knew she was going to die. And I was trying to get her stories and learn all I could about her, which is true. I always have been, ever since I was little. And I just can't fathom that she wouldn't know that she was passing, because she was so different towards the end of her life. She made amends with her dad. She started being all loving and understanding what love is, you know, and understanding that love is all that matters. And she was really sobbing about that. And oftentimes when I would see my mom crying about certain things, I would be like, that's real stuff right there. Because it's just, you know, the way she presents it. Because she's hurt. She's always been hurt. And that's why she was more grumpy and more angry oftentimes. But the thing about it is, anger is covered hurt. So I always have to look at that as well, her covered hurt. So she didn't mention her birthday, and I thought that was weird. I was like, wow, she's an egoless soul. She, because what I've learned during the dark night of the soul is that if you're going through it, it's fucking hard. And I don't care if I cuss on this. I mean, I don't think that I'm going to get censored for it. I mean, I don't know how that works, but she was, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Oh no. So anyways, since I don't know what I'm saying, I'm going to just keep on going. So, wow, that was great. Actually, processing that just now, right now, with this, in this medium, looking at my face even, it almost felt like a mirror. And I was able to see in that mirror, and I was able to heal something else inside of me just then that is worth more than gold. Really, finding out about yourself, learning that when you don't trust other people, it's because you don't trust yourself. That is such a valuable bit of information. What's cool is to integrate it into your life and to become part of that, because that's what it's all about. And I think that is all there is to say. And we did get a screen grab of the Matt Fraser video of us talking, but you can't hear it. It's pure silent. And what's interesting about that is when we had my mom's memorial, we had our friend film it for us, right? And you could not hear one peep on that film. It was white noise all the way. It was almost like my mom was saying, I don't want you to be able to film it. If you're not here and hearing this, then you can't hear it, right? I'm like, whoa, that's harsh, woman. But you know what? Who was supposed to be there was supposed to be there at that time, you know? And we wanted to, share that and keep it for us, so that we can have that to share here on our family YouTube channel, because that's what this is all about, telling stories and sharing our family with each other, right? So there's so much more I could say about my mom that is unbelievable. She is with me. She's here. That means that your relative is there with you. That's not, as Kat Von D would say, that's not rocket surgery. It's the truth. We are here together. We're one. We are one with the planet. We're one with each other. Our souls are like right here with us. We don't go anywhere. But there's still the mystery that is the other side. Listen to how they talk to me from the other side through Matt Fraser, who's interpreting these images, but he's doing a great job with it. I felt like, yeah, there were some things that I was like, oh, well, that's probably this or that's, as I was saying. And that's what you have to do when you see a medium, or you even, like, say I pulled cards for you. You would have to look at the cards, and you would have to, you get my interpretation, but you'd also have to make your own interpretations. This is my mom's card, and this is another card. These are from her actual first tarot deck. The day she passed, I was picking up some papers, and I found these two cards fell out, right? So these two cards have been kind of like my my guides, my messages from my mom. And this, the Hierophant, I don't know if you know, but this is a completely Taurus card. It's a maternal card. It's a paternal card. My mother was all those things to me. And it's a traditional card. It's everything that I've been going through. And then this one comes out, which means that it's going to happen quite swiftly. So yes, I went through a lot of things. Probably still have many more things to go through. But I think I've gone through the dark night of the soul, but that doesn't mean I won't have more dark nights of the soul. But I got through this one pretty quickly for the 8 of Wands and this one. So really cool. These are actually from 1971. I do wish I had a full deck, but I do not. And, one day maybe I will find them. Who knows? I still need to go through some of my mom's stuff. Oops. Oh, goodness gracious. It was nothing. No big deal. So it's on 27:59, and I'm going to say goodbye. And I'm going to say happy Friday to y'all. And share your stories. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and wanting to know what my healing process is, because I'm not going to mess around with this. This is going to be true shit. There's not holding back here, I don't want to ever mention anyone unless I have their permission. And I know I mention my family, my aunties, and stuff like that. But I'm saying, like, if I was telling their story, I would not say anything unless I said, oh, well, hey, can I share your story? These are my stories that are coming to me, So before we go, let's do a quick love whistle. Here's the bells, here's the whistles. Let's, of course, have an essence and have an intention to see love and to have loving awareness and to have acceptance for ourselves, love for ourselves. Find the inner voice and speak your truth, regardless of the consequences, because that is where you're going to find your true healing, and that's where you're going to find your less suffering. We suffer so much needlessly, and I should talk about that too. Oh, it's going to go over 30 if I don't do this right now, so I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to talk about that the next time, okay? Loving awareness in, loving awareness out. But I'm just going to do it 3 times. You are loved. You are taken care of. You are your breath work. You are your work. You are the work of life. You are perfect. You are in perfection. You know? We chase things. We go for things. We're chasing this stuff, and it's like, come on, bring it back. Bring it back to you, you know? Let it be you. That you are your ever elusive love of your life. Start to love that one person, you, because you deserve it. And I'll see you next week. Bye.